You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Welcome in. Surprise, you get us for a second time today. Back in our old studio as well. We're throwing it back. Guess what? If you're someone who was maybe uneasy about paying Evan Bouchard north of $10 million and said, damn it, the Oilers should bridge this guy, well, you're going to be miserable. Evan Bouchard and the Edmonton Oilers have agreed to terms on a deal that will pay him $10.5 million a season for 4 years.
Yes.
Liam, it was not supposed to play out this way. It was supposed to be an 8-year deal at this amount of money or a 4-year deal where the Oilers get a bargain. They got neither.
I think they can thank Noah Dobson for this.
Probably.
I think if Noah Dobson doesn't sign for $9.5 million with Montreal on Friday, we might be here talking about a $9.5 million deal with Evan Bouchard. But I would suspect this deal was increased because of that, and rightfully so. He's a significantly better player than what Noah Dobson is, I would say. So obviously a lot of money. The Oilers are going to have to make a couple of things happen now if they want to be players all in free agency. And by players, I don't necessarily mean the top guys. I mean pretty much anybody, because they have no money left. But we'll see what happens. He's a great player, and I'm glad he's here for the next 4 years.
Yeah, like and multiple things can be true as you kind of break down this contract. I love Evan Bouchard.
Yeah.
I think he is worth now and worth going forward $10.5 million a season, because that is what a premier puck-moving offensive defenseman, top pairing defenseman, that's the kind of money they're going to be getting. And in 4 years, those guys are probably getting $14, $15 million. What you can't do, I won't get there yet. I think Evan Bouchard is worth $10.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think Evan Bouchard should be an Edmonton Oiler his entire career. The $10.5 million AAV, though, in my opinion, had to come with term. And I get the Dobson deal messed this whole thing up, because all of a sudden Bouchard goes, I'm a way better defenseman than that guy. I deserve more than him on a long-term deal, whatever. And maybe Bouchard just point blank said, like, I'm not signing that kind, like, I'm not signing an 8-year deal, or it's going to be $13 million and you're going to be too uncomfortable to pay it, which I guess is kind of the way this is going. But to see a $10.5 million price tag on something that doesn't come with term, that's very, very concerning. And listen, 4 years is a long ways away, but you've just totally kneecapped your ability to ever have this turn into a true value deal. Again, I think Evan Bouchard is worth $10.5 million now. I think he's worth it in year 2, 3, and 4 of this deal. I just wish you would have gone long term, so that there's a point in years 6, 7, and 8 where you go, holy shit, what a value. While every other high-end defenseman in the league is signing for 15, 16 million at that point, we still have our guy at 10.5. And instead, all you're doing is getting ready for a world where in 2029, Evan Bouchard needs another new deal. He's a pending UFA who now has the opportunity to create a bidding war. And you've now opened the door to having to pay market value for him through the prime of his career, which is, again, a concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not an ideal one for the Oilers in that sense of things. I just think this is the way the market's going to end up going for a lot of guys. Like, I don't think we'll see many long-term deals signed in comparison to previous years. Now, saying that, I know Ekblad just signed for 8 years as well, but like, there's talks about Mitch Marner is not going to sign for 8 years. Like, there's already conversations about what Colin McDavid's deal is going to look like. I'm sure many of these other stars in quotations, not exactly a spectacular market, who are available this year, aren't going to sign for these mega deals. I just think this is the new NHL where players aren't in the market anymore to help out teams. I think they're in there to get the money. But I agree, 8 years would have been fantastic. Yeah, it's disappointing in that sense, but I still think the Oilers are going to get as much out of Bouchard as what they've got the last couple of years too. So I don't think it's going to affect me that much. You know what I mean? And
listen, you have to pay a lot for playoff performers. Sam Bennett, for example, is an 8.5. He's now an $8 million cap hit. His career high is 51 points in a season. Evan Bouchard does that by the All-Star break every year, right? And he's a defenseman, not a forward. But the reason Sam Bennett got paid is because he won a Conn Smythe and he had a great playoff run. Well, Evan Bouchard's had 2 great playoff runs that have almost resulted in his team winning a Stanley Cup. Like, you have to pay for that. being good in the playoffs puts you at a premium. And the one thing that I think really hindered the Oilers in this whole thing is, boy, does Evan Bouchard have a hell of an arbitration case.
Yeah.
And there's probably a world where if he goes to arbitration this year, it's a 1 year, $9 million deal for Bouchard.
Which sounds like it was a conversation.
Yeah.
Because the Oilers would have had the RFA rights for another year after that as well. But the whole conversation was, I wrote an article about it the other day, is they didn't want this thing to stretch until tomorrow, being July 1st, because teams were lurking.
Yeah.
And I truly believe the Carolina Hurricanes were sat there waiting for July 1st to come around and offer sheet Evan Bouchard, which would have been a higher ticket than this. And people might have sat there and be like, well, you accept it if it comes through. Like, the Oilers would just have to move on from him. It was like, those picks are not even close to worth what Evan Bouchard is worth for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for all of you out there that are like, oh, well, the Oilers need to get younger and all this stuff, Evan Bouchard's 25. He is a reason why Connor McDavid would stay on this team.
Yeah.
You need him around, and he's a valuable piece. And you go back and look, you say playoff performer, 81 points in 75 playoff games for a guy who's 25 years old. That's incredible stuff.
Yeah.
So I think Bouchard, I really do think this past season and the regular season was probably the worst we'll see of him. I think this was his floor. And now, don't get me wrong, there was moments where you're like, holy smokes, this is nuts. Like,
I get the frustration at times, totally.
You all look at, and I always think about the Evan Bouchard against the Toronto Maple Leafs, where he just passed the puck right up the middle. I know, kind of hit someone, whatever, but it's just like, you want someone to make better plays. And there's a lot of pressure now on Bouchard to be more consistent in that side of things. But again, he's 25 years old. You have to know that the upside, he's making 3 or 4 good plays a game that counter his maybe one bad play a game.
Totally. And again, people want to just sit there and watch the highlight reel or watch the blooper reel, if you will, with him a little bit too much. I want to get to some of your comments over in our YouTube chat, brought to you by Odd Company Brewing, Nation Beer Everyday Lager, a crisp, clean lager crafted not just for game day, but for every day. Braden had the first comment in. He said, great googly moogly.
Great comment.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what a lot of people were thinking. And this is, we talked on our show about how you have to make sure you're following and reading the right insiders. And if you do follow and read the right stuff, you get the between the lines context of what's going on here. We have been hearing about a 4 by 9.5 for a while. We weren't hearing 4 by 10.5.
No.
But the idea that this was going to be a short-term deal at the end of the day isn't all that and entirely surprising. Rusty is in. Evan Bouchard is worth every penny. He's arguably the best puck-moving D-man in the league. Working dogs. When Connor said Bouch needed to be signed, there was no way he was leaving, and the Oilers were going to pay. Shuda says this team is so dumb. Curtum says, someone make this make sense. My brain hurts. Absolute joke. And, I mean, it depends where you want to come out on that. Is it a joke? This should have been 8 by 10.5. And earlier, and like, this is the fucking danger in doing this shit if you're the Oilers, and sorry for cussing.
No ads on, we're good.
No ads on. 8 by 10 probably got this done at some point in the season. If you would have wanted to truly buy at Evan Bouchard's lowest and have this at some point turn into a value during the regular season, you probably had to go to him and say, let's do 8 by 10, Bouch. You're struggling, but we believe in you. And it bit them in the ass. And you know what else that this bit them in the ass? You should have went and extended Dylan Holloway in January last year.
Yeah.
And you should have went and given Philip Broberg a 2-year by $2 million deal in February and said, we believe in you. We're going to keep you around.
Yeah.
They wait. Guys' values go high. And then Oilers fans get pissed off when their team doesn't sign him for a cheap deal. But like, there's a give and take with all this. You are not Florida. You have not won 2 Stanley Cups. You are not a warm climate. You don't have the state tax advantages. Florida can wait with Aaron Ekblad because Aaron Ekblad desperately wants to stay there. And Sam Bennett desperately wants to stay there. And it's not me saying guys don't want to be in Edmonton. Guys want to be in Edmonton. But the draw's just not the same. And for the Oilers, you need to take risks at some point if you're going to get guys at value deals. They didn't want to take the risk for Evan Bouchard earlier this season when he was struggling. Evan Bouchard went and popped off and was the best defenseman in the Stanley Cup playoffs for, you could argue, the second straight season. Now he's getting paid accordingly.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to take a risk.
Hopefully when Stan Bowman does his media avail, someone can ask him that question of just like, what is the process of it all? Because sometimes too, like from the player side of it, it's like, why would Bouchard do that?
Yep.
Like he probably knew he had more in him, and like to sit around and be like, oh, well, maybe this is what I have to take. Like, I think it was a tough deal to obviously probably negotiate during the season, I would think. But from a team perspective, like, that's when you take advantage. Like you said, like it's very easy to get the Zach Cassians of the world to sign these deals that should be on your side of things. But
we got more breaking news.
Well, I actually don't know. This is Victor Offseason traded.
Mitch Marner has officially signed an 8-year deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs and has had his rights traded to Vegas.
Like I was saying, these players are all signing for 8-year deals. Everyone's doing it nowadays.
8-year deal from Mitch Marner. He is now in the Oilers division. We'll see what the return is there. When we get the return, we'll pass it all along to you. It feels like we're doing the free agency special now.
Yeah, this happened last year too, didn't it? It's the deadline. It typically is where it happens. But you would imagine just on that quickly, Nicholas Waugh is in that deal. That sounds like it was. It did sound like Haig was going to be in the deal, but also too, I know before he got moved, but like knowing that Haig was going to be $5.5 million, I'm not surprised that Toronto turned around. I was like, no, we're good. And also too, this is a very different situation from Bouchard to Marner because Marner did not want to play in Toronto anymore. He was walked out of town.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to get something for him, which is actually probably pretty nice business. We'll have more on that return in just a second. I want to get to a few more comments. Shane is in. I would rather 4 years than 8. How many years in were Burns, Erik Karlsson, etc. trying to be moved? Here's the difference. No. Totally different.
Totally different. Okay.
Those guys were signed at 29 years old.
They were older.
When you're signing a UFA at 29 in the peak of their career, you're paying for their first 4, 5, 6 years that are good. And you're saying, you know what? We're getting the player for without giving up any assets. Right?
Yeah.
And I know Karlsson was maybe a little bit different than that, but we're getting the player through their prime. We gulp, we pay, and we know there's some ugliness coming at the end. When you're negotiating with guys like Bouchard who are early on in their careers, you sit there and go, you know what? Maybe for the first couple of years, he's not worth this money. By year 3 and 4, he is. And for the back half, when Evan Bouchard in the back half of an 8-year deal is 32, 33, 34 years old, that's when you get the payoff. That's when you go, man, was it ever worth it? Look at Oscar Klefbom. They signed him after 100 and some career games. And people went, why are you signing an unproven defenseman to that contract? Blah, blah. 3 years in, 2 years in, whatever it was. Great. Leon Draisaitl. People threw a fit. Everyone forgets because 8 years went by and he grossly outperformed it basically from Jump Street. Yeah. But when he signed that deal, how many Oilers fans were going, Nathan McKinnon makes 6, Pasternak makes 6.5. Why the fuck are the Oilers paying this guy 8.5? Worked out beautifully. Edmonton didn't want to take that risk with Darnell Nurse. They walked him more or less to unrestricted free agency to the point where Nurse could sit there and go, you can sign me now to what Werenski and them are getting, or I'll go to free agency and there'll be a bidding war for me. Oilers were up against a wall because they kept bridging him. And now they did it again with Evan Bouchard. Another bridge deal for Bouch. And guess what? There will be a point in 5 years where Evan Bouchard is now going to be making $15 or $16 million. You've set yourself up for it. And guess what? You're going to have to sign that 8 by 15 year deal when he's 29 now, which means you're signing up for age 35, 36, and 37 when it starts to get ugly. So now you're not getting the 10.5 when he's young and he's a bargain and it's great. You're getting the $15 million cap hit when he's 36 and 37 and you go, damn, I don't like this. It's what you've done again. And it's all they do.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely won't be ideal when it gets to that point. But I think if you have a couple of Stanley Cups or one Stanley Cup under your belt already, then it all somewhat becomes irrelevant in a way.
Yeah.
Like they got to win. They're obviously got to win, and they've never been closer than they have been the last couple of years. So you're getting him in his prime years, I guess you could say, his early prime years. And hopefully it pans out for them because they really, really needed to pay off because they need their superstars to now show up for them in his final couple of games of the Stanley Cup final. I know they're getting them there quite regularly, obviously, but they need these guys to come through. And now Bowman and his staff need to go and find some bargain deals as well. We obviously talked about a potential of Brock Besser. That's going to be very difficult now to do unless you move on from what do they call it, Henrique and Arvidsson.
Yeah.
But even if you are able to do that, now you've got to find out these other pieces. Like they're going to need a lot of guys to staff up this year.
They are?
Yeah.
Mitch Marner's got an 8 by 12 with the Vegas Golden Knights. So that's $96 million. If he would have made it to free agency in order to get $96 million on a 7-year deal, it would have had to be a $13.7 million cap hit. Vegas, no state income tax in Nevada, so that definitely helps. Mm-hmm. But Eichel gets an 8 by, Marner, that is, gets an 8 by 12. Someone said Vegas is going to have to trade all of their players in order to make this work and fit this in. With Marner signed at $12 million, they are going to be $10 million over the cap. But if Nicholas Waugh goes the other way, then they're only 7 over. Alex Pietrangelo is going to be on LTIR, 8.8.
Yep.
They still have $1.8 million in cap space with Mitch Marner signed. They'll be fine.
They will be fine. Somebody put in the chat, Marner took a discount. Who was it? BBJ.
No, he got 96 million total. That's what he was chasing.
He did not get a discount. He's a great player. $12 million is a lot.
Does it make you feel a lot better about Leon? Leon's already a value again.
Yeah. Maybe Bouchard will be a value next year.
But then you'll be sitting there going, why didn't we just do 11 mil and have him for 8? Who knows if that was on the table, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's hard to think about what could be because I just feel like it wasn't an option.
Yeah. Derek says, anyone think Bouchard wanted 4, so it walks him to one more big deal?
Yes.
Absolutely. But the point is, earlier in the season, when he was maybe sputtering and not doing well, you probably get Evan Bouchard for 8 by 10.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked early in the year. People in the chat called this crazy when we were like, would you sign Bouchard to 8 by 9 right now? And people were like, you're stupid. You sign him for a couple of years. He's a $6 million D-man. Like, this is what happens.
Yeah. No,
people are saying you show him the door in 4 years when Bo Akey's ready. Bo Akey's never going to be Evan Bouchard.
No, Bo Akey at best will be like a Brett Kulak.
Because Evan Bouchard's come around like once a generation kind of thing for a team.
Yeah, they do. Like the last great offensive defenseman the Oilers had.
Pronger.
Yeah.
Vishnovsky.
Hey, he's up there.
But it's like
Corey Potter was running the power play only 10 years ago.
Corey Potter is way too high on the Oilers all-time list for points by a defenseman. It's not okay. Steven is in. What is Makar's contract going to be in 2 years? Cale Makar in 2 years is absolutely going to become, if it depends what McDavid does, but Makar in 2 years will be the second highest paid player in the league outside of McDavid. He might even get more than McDavid.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. And people are going to compare those contracts. Do not compare them.
No.
They're not comparable because one was signed such a different time. It's going to be nuts. D. White put Bouchard isn't better than Dobson. Oilers overpaid. I promise you, Evan Bouchard is better than Noah Dobson.
He's absolutely better than Noah Dobson. Rusty says there's no fan base better at finding the negativity than Edmonton. Good grief. Bouchard extending in Edmonton is huge. He's worth every cent. I'm with you in the sense that he's worth every penny. I just wish this would have been an 8-year deal. So that's the disappointing part for me.
Makar will take a discount because he wants to win. He's won.
Yeah.
Also, Colorado rarely make it past the first round unless they win the Stanley Cup.
They've won one Stanley Cup and then basically gotten bounced early every other year. Yep.
He won't take a discount either.
Marner 8 by 12.
So what do you think now of the cap picture? Obviously, the Oilers don't have a lot to work with. What is it, 500,000 or just over?
They have $500,000 in cap space.
There you go. So I know they can move down Max Jones, whatever. That's $1.5 million. He's probably on the team next year if it kind of carries on like this. Goaltending is something they're going to have to look at, but I think you can assume the $4 million of Arvidsson is gone. So let's just say they have $5.5 million if you had Jones in the minus too.
So let me walk through this math in my own head to make sure it makes sense. They're at 550,000 right now. If you go from Max Jones to Noah Philp, which we all agreed they should, you're 750K. You trade Arvidsson 4.75. You're at that point. If Arvidsson's out and Jones is swapped for Philp, you have 12 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 2 goalies. I think we can probably also agree that they're going to be running a roster that is 12 forwards, 7D, and 2 goalies next year. They won't carry an extra forward all year. I think they'll try to accrue is my point. So they'll probably run 12. Anyways, so they're, again, with 12 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 2 goalies, they, with an Arvidsson deal, can work themselves up to $4.75 million in cap space. At that point, if you're bringing in a free agent forward, it's also coming with a player getting moved off the roster. So that could be David Tomasek or whoever, but let's say it's Tomasek and you bring in a free agent. The Oilers could get a free agent, $1.15 million off. They can go as high as about $5.9 million right now. Or instead of subtracting Tomasek, they could keep Tomasek, play one of him or Philp down the middle, and then they could have, with Henrique off the roster and Arvidsson, closer to 8, actually. They'll get close to $8 million in cap space. So if there was a 2-year, $7 million deal offered to Brock Besser, you can start to chart a path to how that fits in. But it involves both Henrique and Arvidsson getting moved out. With just Arvidsson moved out, I fear there's no one in that range that I would want the Oilers to go after.
No, they'll be bargain hunting a little bit more. Arvidsson and Henrique right now on Daily Faceoff both listed as third line players for the Oilers, with Kapanen and Podkolzin on the top in the top 6 as well. If they were to move on from Henrique, I think they would run with Nuge on the third line for quite a bit next season. I would imagine. And then if they were to go and get a Besser, or maybe it is Mangiapane at like maybe a $2 million saving or something like that, it'd be quite interesting. I feel like so much is currently happening. Brad Marchand is close to a 6-year extension in Florida.
6-year extension. Isn't he turning 37? He
has turned 37.
He's already 37?
Turned 37 in May, a 6-year extension.
So $32 million is the total. 32. What's 32 divided by 6?
No idea. 5 something.
I know. I thought maybe you'd have your. I'll have my calculator open. 32 divided by 6, 5.3 million. When does he turn 38?
May 11th next year.
Oh my God. So 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. They're signing him through his 42-year-old season. At that point, he'll turn 43 during the year to get him at a $5.33 million AAV. I feel like this is the Yanni Gourde thing where it's like, you're only playing 3 or 4 more years, right, Brad? And he's like, yep, I'm only playing 3. Perfect.
I was going to ask, when do you think his knees fall out from underneath him? Year 3?
Yeah. And it's like Brad Marchand. We just saw it with fucking Pietrangelo. Florida kept everybody.
They did, and they still have Mackie Samoskevich.
So the Panthers cap situation right now, they are $400,000 over the cap with 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 1 goalie. They have to move out money.
So Rodriguez.
So if they move Rodriguez, that probably gives them enough to get their goalie, and they'll probably have to go like 12. Maybe they'll get Nosek at league min, and then they'll have enough, or a D-man at league min.
Their current blue liners, Uvis Beliscus, third pairing, Uvis Beliscus and Tobias Bjornfoot. Things are happening. Should we stay live till tomorrow?
Honestly, probably. Damn. Wow. Florida. They got everybody back. They're going to be really surprised when they're paying $13 million for Bennett and Marchand to be 50-point players next season. But they're playoff guys, and Florida's focused on winning cups.
Yeah. They won their cups at the right time. It's never a bad time to win a cup, don't get me wrong. But like they got them when like their big guys were just ending contracts. So it's like, hey, Sam Reinhart, will you take $1 million less to stay here? Bennett, will you? I know people are talking $9.5 million, but like, what if you just signed 8 and stay here? What if we won a third in a row? The others don't have that luxury, unfortunately. They have the luxury of look how close we kind of are, which they are very close. It's going to be difficult to get through Florida again in the East, but I would say Toronto. I know they just lost Marner. They're looking promising as well. I do still believe the door is open in the West for Edmonton to make their way through.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. And
Florida
it just seems like such a negative chat right now. I don't understand. Like the others just signed their best defenseman since Chris Pronger. Yep. That is a very exciting thing that we should all be fired up about. And we all just have our heads so wrapped
Mr. Magic. Oil are cooked, bro.
Like, no, they're not. They're in a great spot. Right. They need to find a goalie, of course. Like, we all know that, and we don't need to get into that too much. But like, someone posed like Bouchard's not a puck mover. Are you joking? He's one of the best passers in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Like, his breakout passes can be unbelievable. He's tape to tape. Like, his knowledge of knowing what to do with the puck is irreplaceable some nights.
Yeah.
And we're all saying it being like, God damn it. Imagine if this was $1 million less. Like, no, they just signed an unbelievable player that is in Edmonton, and he's the best defenseman in the division. He's the third best defenseman. I'll give Quentin Hughes and obviously Cale McCaw. He's the third best defenseman.
He's
in the
25
West.
years old.
He's 25. He's unbelievable.
Thank you, Gary. Good comment, Gary.
What did Gary say? Oh, there you go. Thank you.
He said he's only 25.
Massive overpay, Kyle. You got to change your name to just Kyle.
Shit.
Because there is nothing wise about any comment you lay in this chat.
Figure it out.
We got 0 team-friendly deals. Leon Draisaitl might be the best contract in the league.
He might, like his Leon Draisaitl was on the best contract in the league, signed a $14 million extension. Before it kicked in, finished second in Hart Trophy voting, scored 50 goals. If Marner got 12, if Leon Draisaitl was hitting true unrestricted free agency right now, he'd get 16, probably 16.
Probably pretty close. 15 at the lowest.
Yeah.
I would think. Ryan Whitney with his thoughts. If you're an Oilers fan and you don't like the Bouchard deal, hand in your sweater.
There you go. Attaboy, Whit. You tell him. Tell him, Whit. How has Edmonton improved since Game 6? Sean, it's June 30th. It's June 30th. If we're sitting here at the deadline next year and they haven't done anything, Sean, you can come back and I'll eat crow. I'll happily eat crow. If by the deadline next year you can tell me they aren't better. It's June 30th. Free agency hasn't even opened yet. Thank you, Sean, for saying fair. It's June 30th, Sean.
Not even July.
And you know what, Sean? I respect you because I know other people were thinking it too, and you just had the balls to say it. Yeah. But it's June 30th, everybody. We calm down.
Funny fan base. I love the passion.
Me too.
I don't get me wrong.
Part of the reason why we can pop on here and have 800 people plus.
Yeah, and your opinions are all very valid, but
except Kyle.
Except who? I heard you said him. But don't get it twisted. The Oilers are still in a good spot. I know it says they only have 500,000, but things are gonna transform here a little bit, and it'll be great. Hey, who do they play first game of the season? Not announced yet. They will get blown out. I promise you that.
They're starting 0-3-1.
Yeah, that's not going to be good, but it'll be fine. I don't think Perry will be back.
We'll have more on that in a little bit.
Brown, I don't think they can afford him now, unfortunately.
No, Brown's gone. I think both those guys are gone, yeah.
Yeah, a Kapanen and another guy, I think, who's obviously in, but that's why he's back.
Yeah. Maybe hearing that Kuzmenko might have re-upped on a 1-year deal in LA, but I'm going to wait for someone else to say
it. Another key playoff performer for the LA Kings.
Okay, so we started this stream to be like, hey, the Oilers signed Evan Bouchard to a $4x10.5 million deal. That stream started 27 minutes ago. Yeah. And in that time, Mitch Marner has completed a very rare, I can't remember the last time this happened.
Aside, not for this magnitude of like what the player coming back.
Yeah, like this is Nikita Nikitin on steroids.
This did
who actually might have been a good defenseman if that happened.
The Oilers tried to do it. That's what I was
with
Hyman.
Mitch Marner's completed an 8-year sign and trade with Vegas and Toronto. The Golden Knights will be paying him $12 million per season. Oh, and Brad Marchand signed with the Panthers until he's 43. Corey Perry giving the Panthers some inspiration, I guess.
Kuzmenko is signed now by Chris Johnson.
1 year, $4.3 million. Ivan Provorov is re-upping in Columbus.
Hell yeah.
I have to host a 3-hour free agent show tomorrow.
You not excited?
Ren goes 43 ? Yes. Brad Marchand signed a 6-year deal that will bring him until he's 43 years old. Actually, I think that's a bad signing for Florida.
I think it's terrible signing. Yeah. This is going to sound like we're better fans of this, but I also don't think the Sam Bennett deal will age very well. I think the next 2 or 3 years, it'll be completely fine. Maybe a 4th year, whatever. But it's a tough one for them. But again, if these guys all pan out, the Marchand one is worse. Also, I think Ekblad is.
And the Leafs signed Steven Lorentz to a 3-year deal.
Come on.
This is the free agent frenzy we've been waiting for. 6 years. Is he not checks notes 37? Yes.
Phone does not stop buzzing.
I know. It's crazy. I'm trying to keep up with all the notifications. 3 years, 1.35 for Steven Lorentz. Nothing yet on Provorov's terms in Columbus, but guess what? It's probably going to be shocking because everything that's happened so far in this free agency is shocking. Bob McKenzie, I love that Bob, again, knows everything as the ultimate insider, but will just step up and be like, this is big enough for me to handle. He says it will be Nick Waugh to Toronto. The trade, I believe, is 1-for-1. That's what Bob said.
And that's fair.
Nick Waugh for Marner's rights. Yep, that is.
People are going to be looking at that they'll look down the road and you can go on Hockey DB and you can clip shows you the trades and be like, Nick Waugh and Mitch Marner. What would they think? It's like, well, it was going to be nothing. So
you got something.
I like Nick Waugh.
Me too.
I think he's a really solid player. He makes $3 million. Maybe that's a million too much, but he's a reliable guy, and I think that's a good deal for Toronto.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Toronto, you want to talk about reasons you haven't won in the past. Like, yes, a part of it is your stars not coming through. You got rid of Marner now, but like, how about you just start throwing out a third line that can score instead of like putting out a bunch of plugs and guys who are tough and good on the penalty kill? How about you play Matthias Michelli with Nick Waugh?
Hey, it might work.
It probably will work for Toronto, actually. Sal, I'm still digesting the Frederick deal. And you know what, Sal? That's fair to you. That's totally fair to you. Because, yeah, Trent Frederick is going to be... Trent Frederick got more term than Evan Bouchard.
He probably should have bargained for the term. Trent Frederick, good on you for getting 8 years.
Yeah.
Probably good shout. That deal's not as bad as what people make it out to be.
No, I don't think so.
I think now that we're kind of seeing things play out a little bit here, it looks like it's just a new NHL. Like, we're in a weird time because I think we all need to wrap our heads around what these contracts all are going to be and what they're kind of equivalent to, because like I'm guilty of it. Like, you look at these Nicholas Haig and Kevin Ball and Trent Frederick, and you're like, why? But then you kind of think about it, it's like, okay, well, it somewhat makes sense. I do think Nick was overpaid and maybe a bad example, but like, that's just what we're going to see tomorrow. Who do you think is going to get the craziest deal tomorrow?
Gavrikov.
Yeah. Good player. Really, I like Gavrikov.
And like, okay, so this guy's batting average isn't great, but I'll say it just because he's the first one to throw the number. Andy Strickland is reporting that Provorov's AAV is in the 8.5 range.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I'll take Bouch. Like, this is This is going to be crazy. This is going to be like 2016 levels of madness for some of these contracts, man. If Provorov gets 8.5, I think that means Gavrikov's getting 8.5. Darnell Nurse won't look that bad in 2 years.
No, it might not. His
Crazy
buyout might not look bad on the books.
Yeah.
Like, not saying like, oh, they have to buy him out, but like, whatever. It's like a third pair defenseman, I guess, now with an $8 million contract. People are obviously asking again. We went over it, just like the others have no money. They will make money and they will be fine.
Yeah.
Arvidsson and Henrique are very expendable contracts. And hey, like, I know you look at the Brett Kulak deal now and you think like, oh, that's good value for a guy where he's playing in comparison. But if they can free up that one again and you're like, hey, Troy Stetcher, can you play a little bit more? Or like they're going at someone who's $1.5 million, for example. Like, there's a lot of ways to do this. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just be happy Evan Bouchard is staying. Is there another one?
No,
just more Kuzmenko stuff.
Just the Kuzmenko deal, 1 year, 4.3. That makes sense. The Ducks are not qualifying Brett Leeson or Isaac Lundestrom.
Brett Leeson's a great option.
26 years old, 6'5", 220-pound right winger. Put up 17 points last year.
Good player.
Yeah.
If they didn't sign Kapanen, I would push him a little bit more.
Well, and that's exactly it. Like, let's do a quick little count on our fingers here. Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, Nuge. Let's say they trade Arvidsson. You got Frederick, Henrique, Janmark, Kapanen, Tomasek, Podkolzin, Savoy, and Noah Philp. There's 12. I think there's room to bring in a guy like Brett Leeson.
Yep.
But you can only take so many of those kind of bets here, especially if your goals are trade Arvidsson to get a new mid-range winger in here. I would have been totally down for Michelli. He went to the Leafs earlier today for a conditional third.
Yeah.
But another part of that is Oilers with limited assets. It's a conditional third that can become a second. And if Edmonton would have tied up both those picks in next year's draft, next year's deadline gets a lot more difficult. So I can maybe understand why they opted to keep their powder dry and not take a risk. Because we did hear Bowman say that too. He wants to get younger, but also we've said, like, stop taking risks, right? Like,
yeah, I wonder if I was thinking about this before. So obviously the CBA doesn't kick in till the year after.
Yeah.
I wonder how aggressive teams will become at the deadline next year, trying to get guys on term for retained salary. You know what I mean? Like, if, for example, like Wallman this year, where it's only 3.5, 3.4, whatever it was, if they're like, San Jose, we will give you an extra fourth, third, whatever it may be, if you can keep 400,000. Just for example, maybe that's not the right value for it, but you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
Yeah.
Jacob Bernard Docker, local ties, also on unrestricted free agent issue.
Yeah, not qualified. There are going to be some names here that'll be interesting on the unqualified side of things.
It sounds like Scott Mayfield might be available. I know a few years ago you were in on him, but his contract's probably just out of favor now.
His contract's so shitty.
Yeah.
$3.5 million for 5 more years. Like,
and he's already 32.
Yeah, I'm not signing up for that ticket. I'm good. You need someone better on the right side. I do think one story that we're going to hear more about in Edmonton as the summer goes on is extensions for some guys. I think the Oilers will probably, maybe even a little bit to your point, they'll want to operate with a little bit of cost certainty. So I'm just seeing the Provorov thing. 7 years by 8.5 for Provorov.
He's a good player.
That's
like 6.5, I guess, isn't it?
Well, get ready. Like, if you think Bouch at 10.5, I'm seeing Provorov get 8.5. What's old Jakey Wallman's next contract going to be? And this is what I was getting at, was I think a story that'll develop as we go through the summer is not just Connor's extension, but I think we'll see some other extensions get talked about in Edmonton on the 3 blue liners, Ekholm, Wallman, and Kulak. They might try to, again, and this is smart business, I think, why don't you jump on Jake Wallman before he puts up 55 assists next season playing with these Oilers forwards? Just an idea.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to lock in, especially with Ekholm coming to the end of his career.
Yeah.
Get him out of the way and then see what happens. I would like him to stay. Who's our other significant free agent next year?
Kulak, Wallman, Ekholm. Ekholm,
if you can kind of flip the Ekholm contract with Wallman, like if you do the opposite way, for example, like I'm sure it'll be fluctuate a little bit, but like in those roles, and like maybe, but we'll see. I wouldn't want Ekholm at too much money, but also to like, again, $3.5 million is going to be like a $2 million player.
I'd be itching to get Jake Wallman done ASAP.
Yeah.
Matthias Ekholm before the playoffs, I would have been like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm now in the camp where I need to see him play.
Yeah, especially considering, again, Bowman said he was 100% healthy.
Yeah. Little concerning on that front.
Yeah, a little bit.
Wallman has to earn more than Nurse. Nope. Can't do that.
What? No, come on.
No.
To be honest, he might end up earning more than Nurse.
Yeah.
Well, no, because he's not better than Provorov. Is he better than Provorov? They're probably the same category of different players, but like, you know what I mean? Value to a team.
Oh, Wallman might be an $8 million D-man next summer. No, man, no, he won't be. He's not as good as Provorov.
And he's older.
He's a little older.
Yeah.
He'll be a 6 by 6.
Maybe 7. 7.5. 10.
Oh, I thought you were saying years.
Oh, no. Money.
Yeah. 7 by 8.5 getting confirmed here for Provorov. So that was a lot of stuff that went down in a little bit. Could you find a way to get Brian Rust? Yeah, I think potentially. I think you absolutely could. Brian Rust, he loses his trade protection as of tomorrow. He has 3 more years at 5.1. But again, that would go, as much as I like Rust, I think he's a good player. If there's an Arvidsson for Rust swap, sign me up. Pittsburgh's not doing that. You're going to have to pay more and like give up an asset, which I'd have interest in. But Bowman's talked about wanting to get younger. Rust doesn't help you get younger, right?
Yeah.
So
interesting comment here from North Strong, first-time commenter. So thank you for your comment. Man, even if we don't sign a big-time winger, Josh Samoskevich, Quinn, is his name Quinn Hudson? Yeah, it is. Yep. Have a real chance to make this team. You trade Arvidsson and Henrique, and we have a lot of flexibility to find a goalie by the deadline.
Oh, we're still talking about goalie.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an important conversation.
It is.
I think just on Samoskevich and Hudson, I would lower your expectations significantly.
Szymanski, not Samoskevich.
Well,
Josh, you're getting him confused with the Florida free agent.
Mackey, my boy. The
Szymanski, Josh Szymanski.
Sorry, Rob. Lower your expectations. Yep. If those guys are on your opening day roster, then you didn't get enough in free agency. Probably. Or someone did a really bad job of a player, that is. I think those guys can have impacts in the lineup throughout the season, but I don't see them as guys who will make the Oilers roster this year. I think, like, you think back to different, but Ryan McLeod didn't start the season in Edmonton when he came up and turned pro.
Nope.
He started the season in Bakersfield, even though all the conversation was, oh, he should be on the team, They let him play a little bit, get his feet underneath him, and then go ahead and do it. So I'm curious. Yeah, Samoskevich is a Panther. Could be an Oilerman, dude. Mackey.
Archie? I love him.
Player.
I think he's such a good player.
Yeah, he's a really good player.
Yeah.
That Chicago Steel team, if you're ever just bored, go look at the team. Samoskevich. Oh, my goodness.
Samoskevich.
Unreal. Owen Power.
Not Szymanski.
Coronado. They had some great players on.
Do you think we're safe to wrap this up right away?
I don't know. Brett's here. Thanks for producing, Brett.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. What do you make of the 10.5 for Bouch?
I think it was expected.
Oh,
there you go.
It was expected either way. I'm fine with it. Josh Doe was also on that team too.
There you go, Josh Doan. Macklin celebrating during the next year.
Yeah.
Chicago had a hell of a run.
Sabres issued qualifying offers to a bunch of guys. I bet you we see Ryan McLeod sign a $5+ million deal this summer. Oh yeah.
Okay, so going into July 1st tomorrow.
Yeah.
Two things you want to see. One thing you want to see from the Oilers.
Trade Victor Arvidsson.
Second thing.
I didn't know there'd be follow-up. No, I did. Find someone who fits in the top 9.
Yeah.
You need to nail this bet. You swung and missed on Arvidsson. You swung and missed on Skinner. The nice thing about those deals is Skinner was a 1-year deal, so you got out of jail a little bit free there. Victor Arvidsson, you're going to get out of because you didn't go crazy with term, and a team's going to be willing to pick that up from you. I don't think that option's going to be available this year. Like, I'll go to Daily Faceoff's top 75 free agents really quick. Or am I? Jesus. There's so much news on the website. Daily Faceoff has you covered like a blanket. Okay, Marner's gone. Marchand gone. Ehlers not affording, and he doesn't want to play here. I'm only reading the forwards. Besser, his projection from AFP was 6 by 8.5. I think the only way that works is if you're doing a 2x7 with him.
Yep. Sounds like Minnesota is out of the picture on that too.
Because they acquired Tarasenko today. Yeah. So the market may be thinning a little bit. Mikhail Granlund, I'm good.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane, no, he's a power play guy. Unless you really think he's going to boost your power play that much. But like, I need someone who can score at 5-on-5. Jonathan Drouin, his projection is 4 by 5.9. I'm not taking that risk.
Yeah, that's he's a good player when he plays.
Yeah. Pius Suter, no. Jack Roslovic, I'm not going 3 by 4.1 for him. Kuzmenko gone. Perry. This is from LeBrun on Corey Perry, by the way. The Edmonton Oilers want Perry back, but are currently limited in what they can offer. So in their view, the ball is in his court. Edmonton can't chase it financially. There will most likely be better offers on the table come Tuesday for the 40-year-old winger who continues to be an impactful player despite his age. Things change by the hour, but all signs point to Perry going to market. I mean, last year he squeezed the Oilers for an extra $200,000. He'll go to the highest bidder. He can talk about how much he loves it here, but until there's a 1-year, $1 million announcement in front of me, he's going to go somewhere else.
And I'm glad to hear the Oilers aren't just going to be taken advantage of.
After Perry, Brendan Tanev, not a top 6 guy. Beauvillier, not a top 6 guy. Pacioretty, too old. No interest in him. Dadonov. No.
He's 35.
Mangiapane, if he's getting to $5 or $6 million, no fucking shot.
Which I think he is.
Which he might be.
Which, when the first report came out, Pagnotta said that, didn't he, on the show, I believe? It was like, that's crazy. And again, you see what's happening. It's like, maybe it's not crazy. Maybe that's just what it is.
Phil Kurashev not getting offered.
I don't love him, but he's quickly becoming a reasonable option. I saw a big thing that people didn't like about him in Chicago this year is that he was just not getting shots away like he used to. When he had the great season.
Well, then maybe there's a path to.
Maybe. Like, it seems like a reasonably easy thing to fix, but or is that just pot calls on again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't mind Christian Dvorak if you were to get him on a cheap rebound deal. Like, is he younger Adam Henrique, and then you move Henrique and you get he's 29.
Yeah. I don't hate the name. Obviously underwhelming with the Montreal Canadiens.
I think if you're thinking the Oilers are going to do something crazy, like, I don't know, I think you should be prepared to be underwhelmed, but you were obviously talking about Dvorak's time with Montreal. Yeah.
Yes. If you can get him on a cheap prove me deal, and maybe he's not a bad option. Also another former Chicago Steel, ironically enough. But did play for the London Knights for the bulk of his career with Bouchard and to the Max.
Maximus Jones. Don't think he's going to factor into things much next year, sadly. Got to put our Max Jones shirts on pause for a little bit.
No, thank you, fanatics.
Well, I've been podcasting for a lot of my day today.
Yeah, and more tomorrow.
I know I have such a long show tomorrow.
Tanner Glass. What's his name?
Cody Glass is getting qualified.
He is getting qualified, so will not be a free agent. Why is Kyle? Put that in.
Yeah, no.
I will now refer to you as Kyle.
Kyle is or Glass is not going to be a free agent anymore. DFO, by the way, if you're looking for a list of guys who aren't getting qualified, they have it. So you have, I can give people some names here that they might recognize. Washington, Alexander Alexeyev on the blue line. He's a big D man. Kyler Yamamoto in Utah is not getting qualified. Been there, done that. San Jose is not qualifying Noah Gregor. I'd have time for that.
You'd have to imagine at some point this guy becomes a free agent and just signs in Edmonton.
Like just
every damn
fulfill the
summer.
prophecy.
Yeah, come on.
Sharks, Nikolai Kovalenko as well, and Klim Kostin. I take Gregor out of that group. No one on Pittsburgh. Philly with Jacob Peltier, the former Flame. I just don't think he's ever going to be an NHLer. Rangers aren't qualifying Arthur Kaliev, but he'll be on his third or fourth team here right away.
Uzbekistanian.
Oh, is that where he's from?
He's from Uzbekistan, or like one of his parents is at least.
Rangers aren't qualifying Zach Jones on the blue line.
He was a high up the list on free trade deadline.
Yeah. Sorry, these are the guys who have not received qualifying offers yet, so maybe Jones still does. I like Brett Leeson. I like Isaac Lundestrom, actually.
Yeah, those two options aren't bad. Lundestrom was a duck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe.
They had to make room for Lightning McQueen over there.
Yeah, Roger.
Like, talk about fulfilling a prophecy. That guy picks him in 95. Are you kidding me?
I feel like he's going to regret it in 8 years when they're like still asking him about the cars thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying ka-chow, and he's like, you know what? I just want to be a hockey player. Ty Smith in Carolina. No.
God.
Former Oil King Jalen Lipin.
Jalen Lipin. He didn't get qualified now. That's surprising.
Yeah. All right. I think we're good. Hey, boys.
I think we're good.
Thanks everybody who tuned in today. We are going to be live again tomorrow, 1:00 Mountain Time, to break down anything that does go down with the Oilers. Maybe there is a big trade. Liam will have videos coming up on the YouTube as the Oilers sign players, if the Oilers sign players. So, yeah, that's what we got going on here.
Get ready for your Anton Forsberg video tomorrow.
Oh boy. Evan Bouchard, 4x10.5. Marner's a Golden Knight. Provorov gets $8.5 million. Brad Marchand is signed until he's 43 years old. No exaggeration. The Florida Panthers have kept all three of their pending UFAs somehow. And that's where we're at. There's all the news you needed. Gregor is still going to be live for a little bit, so you can go pop over and join his show. Tomorrow, I'll be live, 9 a.m. Mountain on the Daily Faceoff YouTube with Hart from Puckpedia, Colby Cohn, Johnny Lazarus, Jeff Merrick, Carter Hutton, Matt Barnaby as well. Whole bunch of big names joining us on our Daily Faceoff free agency show. Thank you so much for tuning in to a little impromptu edition of Oilers Nation Every Day. And we will see you back here 1:00 tomorrow. Oil up.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation Every Day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit OilersNation.com.